Welcome to Banter and Bliss Podcast. My name is Jason. I'm here with my beautiful co-host, Allie.
Hey, everyone.
And today is episode 15. We're going to go into a little bit about trust and honesty in relationships and kind of the importance of it, or do you think it's important? We'll kind of go and talk a little bit about that and, how it impacts relationships, the significance of it, and, whether or not it's worth building and maintaining that trust and kind of what sort of an impact it has on our relationship and just relationships in general. We could talk about our past and stuff like that.
Yeah. Honestly, it's one of those things that's like probably like tied for first place in like the importance of like relationships. It's like communication and then honesty and trust. It's like you have to have like both of those to even have the other ones.
Well, there's it kind of is the same thing, right? Because what is communication if you're not communicating transparency, right? Like I feel like, at least for me, I feel like transparency is key in a relationship, and transparency gets communicated.
But also like transparency and forthcoming, like.
Well, yeah, if you're being transparent,
because you can ask me about something, but if I'm willingly giving you the information, that's also a different thing too.
Right. And also, if you're not giving me the correct information, then you're communicating, but you're not being transparent. And then therefore you're not being trustworthy. And so it defeats the whole purpose. Like, I think we have to like clarify what communication means, right? Because most people would think communication is just talking, right? Talking doesn't mean anything. Plenty of people talk.
My sports team won today. I could use a beer. Blah, blah, blah. Like, that's communicating with your wife.
Right. Like plenty of people talk and they can bullshit and whatever.
Or like say what's on the news.
Yeah.
Social media.
Yeah, that's not communicating.
It's like updating each other. Like on, what was that thing?
What thing?
The people, the events, and the ideas.
Oh, yeah.
Small minds?
Yeah, small minds talk about people.
The middle
average minds talk about events, and great minds talk about ideas.
Yeah. Anyway, it is just like that. I feel like a majority of people talk about the bottom two, and that is most conversations and communication. And maybe that's why relationships tend to fail more often than they succeed.
Yeah. I mean, are people, questions like, are people just, they're not interested in their partner's life, or they're socially inept?
Also, maybe like, I'm not sure how most men are, but you kind of got to go to a emotional place like deep within to talk about the things that really matter to you, and that comes with some vulnerability. So I wonder if that's also like a factor where a lot of men, and specifically, kind of don't go there because maybe it's an ego or pride thing. And definitely not all men are like this, but I would imagine that most men, like the like beefy, like super masculine, almost like toxic masculinity people, they won't go there because that's like maybe a feminine emotional trait that they don't want to associate with. So I feel like there's like pride that like gets in the way of proper communication and honesty and trust. So there's so many aspects of that where luckily with you and I, we've been able to get to those like very sensitive places in our conversations. And it's sort of blossomed into something like really healthy for both of us. And we've had an interest in the other person and how the other person operates and thinks and what the other person wants and needs from both of us to give and to receive. And like you made it very clear like early on like what you needed in regards to like honesty and trust. So you were very like open, saying like, these things make me anxious, and if these things happen then like there's going to be like problems. So it's like, okay, I now know like what you don't like and what causes you to feel certain ways, and yeah, so I don't know, and we have check-ins and we have meetings and we're always, talking to each other, and we just find ways to fix. We're always updating each other, which I think is so important because we're constantly changing. Maybe something that I was fine with like a few months ago, it like now is no longer something I like or whatever. So these updates are going to evolve as we evolve as people. So anyway.
Yeah, I mean that's why you need the frequent communication, because people change. And I mean, same thing with me, right? Where it's like, maybe there's something that's not a big deal, or like, if it happens enough and it like starts to annoy you, um or whatever it is, like everyone kind of, you need to be able to communicate. Everyone needs their time, they need their space, they need to be able to, adapt to situations, and you need to be able to communicate. And if you don't do that, then you set yourself up for trouble. And I think that's kind of one of the biggest problems with relationships nowadays. Um,
Also the instant gratification of society nowadays, where
yeah, yeah,
we have just access to so much very quickly, and relationships are not quick to build like a solid bond. And it's like if you don't connect with that person quickly, you just throw it away.
yeah. It's weird because, you know, it's taken many, many, especially like for humans in particular, right? It's like hundred thousands of years for us to develop and get to where we're at right now. And, that's like a natural part of evolution. And so now we have these technologies, we have the internet, we have computers and stuff like that. And these things have come across in a couple decades, within a generation or two. And so the technology outpaced the natural kind of like mind state of a human. So it's, you have these like monkeys that have these devices, and they're able to get all this instant gratification. They get these dopamine hits, the dopamines
Yeah.
are, and so they can't properly process that. And so like what you said is that they get very attached to this instant gratification. And that's the thing that I think a lot of like Gen X and boomers, that they give millennials a lot of shit, because a lot of them are like that, and a lot are. And the thing is, you can tell that it is a technological thing and a generational thing, because it's getting worse every generation. Like millennials were the first one of, like, you guys can't stick with anything, you can't focus, you're whatever, this and that, dating apps, all this kind of shit. And then fucking Gen Z are worse than millennials, way worse. Like, where they can't even like speak, be like, bet, no cat. Like, dude, I don't even know what that is. It's not even English.
Yeah.
Like, so you have this stuff going on, and people are just so, glued to their phone, and they don't know how to process things. Just like simply having a conversation. So if they're not able to do that on a grand level, how are they going to be able to do that with relationships and stuff like that?
Right, because you gotta know who you are and respect and love yourself, like, before you can be with someone. Otherwise, you're gonna rely on that person to give you those things. It's like if you're not satisfied with yourself, then you're gonna find validation through someone else. You literally put everything into their hands, which is not healthy, because then if they break up with you or whatever, any other toxic behavior that they do, it's gonna destroy you. And so it's like you gotta be almost, I would say, emotionally mature to be in a healthy relationship, because like, kids get in relationships and it's like they don't even know what the fuck they're doing. And they don't know how to communicate properly. They don't know, they probably haven't heard of, the psychology tests that you and I take, the personality tests, and what our personalities are, our love languages. It's like you have to.
We're gonna do an episode after this one on
This will
love
be That'll be our
languages.
next episode, is love languages, and
Keep
so
keep it Valentine's Day
yeah.
month.
But it's like you got to have the emotional maturity to be in a relationship. Otherwise, it won't be successful. You'll be all over the place. Like, relationships take work. Like, it's not hard work. It's just determined work. Like, it's not difficult. Like, you and I, we've had the long conversations. We've had the necessary conversations. But it's not difficult, but I could see how other people may not prioritize that, because it's like it's not fun maybe, or something. Like, oh, I have to talk to my partner for 2-3 hours, and stay updated on their lives. Like, that sounds boring. Or I'd rather watch football. Like, you know what I mean? Like, everyone prioritizes things differently. And in relationships, you got to prioritize your partner. And some of those priorities are not always, on paper, the most fun. But in the end, I feel like you and I always feel very refreshed and gratified at the end of it, and our bond is stronger. So I always love, after our 3-hour conversations, like at dinner table, and we're like, wow, we just talked for like 3 hours. Like, I need to pee. Like, we've been sitting here for a while. But those are the moments that I feel like are going to keep us going forward, because we blurt out everything we're feeling. We tell each other our thoughts, our needs, our concerns, and that's how we grow as a couple. And which comes down to the communication and the honesty and the transparency. Like, you and I are really good at, like, I tell you everything about my day. Like, everything that happens, good, bad, weird, whatever. And it's been good. And you do the same. I have, like, no worries. Like, anytime you go out, I'm like, peace, have fun. Like, I don't sketch out about what you're doing. Like, I don't think about that. You've never given me any worry about it. So it's like, I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's why like people's actions are important. Um and it's actions of all regards. There's the what you do, and then there's the what are the things you do. Like something that's important to me, um with all that stuff too, is like, knowing that like what you're supposed to do, kind of thing, as opposed to, like having to like pry it out of people, I think, which kind of does happen sometimes. um where you're like, it's funny. I was watching this TikTok that Max had sent me, um, and it was like this dude. I don't know the context of the situation of like what this guy does, but it's like he's got like a podcast, and it's like a room, and it's always him, and there's always like some girls that are there, and I don't know if this is part of the podcast or this is the entire podcast, because I'm like, I don't know why they go on there, because it's just they're kind of like debating. It's kind of like that one guy that you watch on TikTok who, sorry, the ambulance going by, or fire truck. That guy who will get into the argument with the people, right? So it's the same thing, but it's a guy with girls, and every single time it's these girls that are absolutely clueless, entitled, and they're like there was one video. He's like, the girl's like, oh yeah, guys they have too much expectations, and they have unrealistic standards and blah blah blah. And then the guy's like, oh, so what guys do you go for? And she's like, the guy has to be at least 6'2".
Yeah.
It's like, are you fucking stupid? Like, just dumb people. Like, and doesn't understand. It's like, okay, yeah, he's got to be 6'2", and like whatever the other thing, or the girls that are like, oh yeah, he has to make 100,000 a year. It's like, and what do? You just sit on your ass, and because what, you're hot shit.
And see, those girls just benefit from those. It's not even like a valid. I don't even know what would you call that, like a trait that you look for in a partner, like those. Like, why do they want someone that's 6'2"? Oh, they want like a man. They want they want someone that's taller than them, so they can feel like protected, and they can wear their high heels, and they'll still be able to be shorter than their partner or whatever. It's all shallow reasons. It's not the nice guys that are all 6'2", the kind guys, the respectful guys, the ones that are loyal.
Yeah.
Like, being tall does not equal any of those things. So
I feel like in most cases, it's usually not the case. Like,
right.
Most people that I've known that were like that, they end up acting douchey because they can get away with it.
Right.
And yeah.
Yes. And then like the money thing, it's like, well, why do you want someone that has money? Because you want to spend it?
Right. And then it's like there's that guy who makes 6 figures, and you could just tell. Like, remember when we were at the Cheesecake Factory that one time? And there are those two at the bar. The dude.
Oh, with the younger girl?
Yeah. Yeah. There was this like,
he was like in his 50s or something.
Yeah, it was like this younger black girl, and then it was like this like old white dude who was like in his like fit, and
so weird.
They were like,
it was awkward.
It was so fucking weird. It was so weird. It was like it's like we see the business transaction.
Like, if you both understand what your role is in that situation, then fine. If he's happy with some girl that's cute and attractive and knows she wants his money, fine. If that'll make you happy, if you're aware of that, and then the girl just wants his money and is willing to do whatever he wants, whatever. It's like, if you both understand that, then fine. But to have an actual bonded relationship where you guys like mutually respect and love each other, those are not qualities that you should be valuing.
Yeah. I think the reason why it's worked well with us is that we like always got along in our interactions, but then there's always been that like fire, there's always been that like intense flirtation and stuff like that. And so it's that combination of like enjoying the other's presence and being able to just like enjoying their presence and being able to like talk to them easy and talk to them about a number of things. where it really makes it feel like it's not work to just just kind of be around them. But then on top of it, you're mutually attracted to each other. So it's like it's like the idea of like having like a best friend who you fuck
Yeah.
kind of thing. It's kind of like the idea of like it's like yeah. I mean that I don't know. In my head, that's kind of what it is. It's like I've never been the type where like I like though that girl, that type of a girl who's like blah, blah. It's like I would have nothing to talk about with her. Nothing to talk about with her at all. You know, and it's like you can't just. I've never understood that whole like. I mean, I guess if it's like if you're just there for that, but it's like, dude, you could easily go fucking wank one out. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, what is, I don't understand. It's not worth the effort to put all this shit in to go to just get laid randomly by one girl who fucking knows what she has, who knows what, it's like, I've never found that to be like an intelligent way of approaching that. It's like, I'd rather be in like a meaningful relationship with someone that I'm attracted to, or just not be. I don't know.
Yeah, and I mean, it depends on what you want. Some people want the multiple interactions, the multiple women, the guys with money, so they can be taken out to expensive places and trips and have all the things and the bags and the shoes and the makeup.
Well, I mean, maybe if you're,
Like these are all transactional.
well, maybe if you're like loaded, like you're fucking hella rich, and then it's like just fucking, you're being just swarmed with girls, and it's like, all right, well, maybe at that point, but even then, it's still shallow.
My dad would spoil his girlfriends. He would like pay to like get their nails done and like things for them, like almost like a sugar daddy. Well, but he was in relationships with them
with that big of an age gap. Yeah,
right. There was an age gap for sure. So it's just like, I don't know what.
But I mean more of the like, they're on the dating apps and looking for a new. It's like, dude, it's just not. Again, it goes back to that same thing of the instant gratification, and tied in with the instant gratification is that inability to connect. It's the inability to connect with someone and to be able to
connect over a screen.
You can't, but you also can't connect with people if every person is like a business transaction like that. They're very, very surface level, shallow. And I think that's part of the reason why I never liked that stuff. And I always like, I had an easier time having something like serious happen rather than like random, like,
yeah. All of my relationships have been in person. Like I knew them or met them like at school or work or whatever. It was never online.
Yeah, because all those short instant gratification things are all about, they're literally all about like manipulation dynamics.
Right, and it's like, hey, I'm looking for someone that's this, and this. So then it's like a job description almost.
It's like job hunting.
And then it's like, if you don't have any of those qualities, you're not going to reach out to that person. Whereas if you meet naturally and organically, you can mold to each other, Like if you would have said, I don't know, like, hi, I'm Jason, I love gaming, blah, 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 blah. But I have anxiety or whatever. Just you named a flaw of you. I would have been like, oh, well, maybe I don't want to date someone with anxiety. And then I click next. So now you're completely disregarded on that platform, Tinder, whatever it may be. And I could have missed out on something pretty great because of something I didn't like on your profile.
Yeah, which is hilariously ironic, because if that is something that you would like maybe reconsider on a thing, and every boyfriend that you've ever had all had some degree of anxiety.
I'm sure. Yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah. Yeah,
funny.
I mean, that's definitely just an example. But
sure.
That is, some people say, oh, well, I want someone that's 6'2", but what if that person's like 5'11"?
Well, yeah.
And it's like, oh, well, now you're missing out on someone great that's 5'11".
And I still don't understand it. Are you going to take a fucking measuring stick and measure them? You're just going to go off what they say? And that's the thing, is a lot of times these same girls are like, they're just so dumb, and they'll be like, oh yeah, well, it says it on his profile. And FYI, girls, these guys just lie about shit, make up shit to get in your pants. That's all that it is. So it's like, if you're the type of girl that is like, I only want a guy who's over fucking 6'1" or 6'2" or is this or that or whatever, guys will lie through their fucking teeth to get laid. I have like a personal qualm. Like, I can't, like, I don't feel good with myself when I lie. Like, it makes me feel weird.
Yeah.
So I never really was able to do that. And that's why, like, when I was like younger, like, I had like difficulty, because you have to play like a certain game. And I don't like fucking playing games. You know that. That's, I think, another reason why this has worked so well, is you never played any games. And I expected you to play game. Well, before we were together, it seemed like there was game playing, but we've cleared that up. That's a long story.
Yeah.
Long, complicated, convoluted story.
Yeah.
But no, like, once we basically had our like first date, that was it. And so that goes back to the whole trust and honesty thing, is that I can just be myself. And there's nothing better than being yourself, and like having some like hot girl that you like loves you for that. It's like, there's nothing better than that, because it's like, you can't like lose. Like, you literally, like, it's like, oh well, this person's gonna be like attracted to me by me just being me. So it's so easy. Whereas with those dating apps, it feels like I always, whenever I did those, and I'd get like many connections and numbers and date girls and stuff like that, but it was always so surface level. And
I don't know how to be surface level.
Yeah, I
get weird, like, real quick.
I always felt like I was basically being fake. I never felt like I was me. I always felt like I had to try too hard to impress them. And it just didn't really work. I mean, it would work to the point where it'd be like, I'd get a number, I'd go on a date, we'd make out, but then it would, something else would come up, or there'd be some random fucking excuse, and then weird text games, and
I got food poisoning.
Yeah, I got food poisoning. Oh my god, I literally got that like 2 or 3 times.
I know, that's
what I said. Yeah, so dumb. Yeah, you girls got to come up with something better than the food poisoning thing, because that's.
How about just be honest? Like, hey, I had a really great time with you, but just the connection romantically wasn't there.
Well, there was that one girl that I met on an app or something like that, and we went out. I think we went on 2 dates, and she started kind of doing that whole like, it's like, she's, I don't know what the hell you call that.
Just the like slowly ghosting.
She's like slowly kind of ghosting or whatever, or taking like longer to reply to messages and stuff like that. And she, I mean, hot and all that kind of stuff, and we had a decent time. But she actually said to me, she like apologized, and she said, like, she's like, I had a really good time. But there was like someone else that she was like into or something like that, or whatever. And so that was actually a really relatively straightforward response, which I usually wouldn't get something like that. It still hurt, obviously, because it was like, oh fuck, like, and whatever. But
at least she had some like closure, just clarity.
Yeah, most people, they just won't do that.
To be fair, though, I feel like girls ghost because a lot of guys can't handle rejection.
Yeah, like that they are.
It definitely is like statistical. And like I've seen so many instances, and even in my own experience, where it's like you either cut someone off or tell them you're not interested, and they get really creepy, weird, psychotic. It's like, and then they get like cruel. They'll start, obviously, they'll start insulting you because the rejection was an insult. So they need to like now put it back on the girl to get back at them for how they made them feel. And that is like a weird thing with guys. And so I think because guys are told not to be like emotional or even how to handle rejection, I think that, it's not discussed like growing up. Girls are going to reject you, and, you got to have this mindset and remember this about yourself and love yourself and respect yourself and move on. Little boys aren't taught that. And then, so when guys get rejected, it's like, oh my gosh, like this girl like made me feel bad, and making me feel bad is an insult. And, now I got to assert my masculinity again. And so I'm just going to put it back on her and say all these mean things and put myself back on top again. And then that creates now this thing. Now that girl is not going to say how she feels to the next guy that she, starts dating, not interested. Now she just ghosts him because the other guy, kind of showed her, oh, well, if I do say something, they're going to react this way. So now it's like this whole web of experiences where girls, the ones that have said things, and the bad guys have shown a certain weird, psychotic parts of themselves that they revealed. And now those girls are scarred. Now they're ghosting the nice guys or the other guys that haven't had that experience. And now these guys are like, what the fuck's going on? And it's just like this weird, like ebb and flow of society. And now we're all just, what the fuck do we do? So I don't know. I think it definitely starts with some self-love. And like you said, it still hurt when she rejected you, but I doubt you went out and like started talking shit, like, and I don't know, doing some like revenge insults. And I don't know, like there's just some petty ways that people get revenge nowadays. And it's like, just have some self-respect, self-love, move on. Obviously she's not the one for you. You're going to find someone better for you. And so I feel like that's a good start. And then girls, yeah, it's kind of scary because like when guys get weird and like stalkerish, it could be violent. And obviously stats, men kill more women. So it's like
men.
It's like men gotta make us feel safe first before I feel like girls can act appropriately to things. Because
yeah, I mean,
you know what I mean? Like if guys start showing like proper responses to rejection, I feel like then it can start the healing again. But nowadays, I don't think most men can handle that. Yeah, I think that's probably the main problem that needs to be solved before, like, at least in regards to rejection, because I don't even know what's happening on Tinder these days and how people are communicating. But I just know from all the murder docs I watch that where it's like some girl is not interested anymore, and then the guy goes out and kills her and whatever. It's like always the same story. So
yeah, I think there's a lot of that where there's just misunderstandings, and then you have guys like me that are not gonna do anything crazy, and then you get that response, and you're just like,
you get the consequences of the crazy men.
Pretty much, yeah. And I think it's basically it's the good part of the population that ends up getting screwed by the shitty part, because I think there's also probably a very large group of girls that are like, they're just, a lot of them probably just don't give a shit because the disproportionate number of guys to girls, like the vast majority of guys, like it's like the job apps where you're getting zillions of fucking you're sending out a million things and you don't get responses, or you do, but you know, you go through all these things that all that happen, and you know, for girls, it's the catch 22, right? Where like girls can get sex very easily, but they want emotion and meaning and they want a relationship. And then guys have more trouble in those instances and they're more likely to think for sex. So it's like the girls are more easily able to get the things that they aren't necessarily wanting. And so that's how you have those guys, those 6'2" guys that those girls want. The type of guy is not just 6'2", but you know, the type of guy like that. And then those guys will take advantage of and use those girls. And you know what? Props to them, because those girls fall for that stupid shit. So it's like, I'm not that type. I don't engage with that, but it's like you're getting screwed over because you keep falling for those same guys that you're saying you don't want, but then your actions speak otherwise. Um, like, you know, that.
Well, they put so much value on attractiveness.
Right. Well, they'll say like, I want X, Y, and Z, but then they're going after the guys that are not that, because they're going after the superficial, shallow
It's like, oh,
traits.
he's kind of an asshole, and you know, he goes out and parties a lot, but he's super attractive and tall. So I guess I'll just
he only hits me like once a week.
Yeah, so I'll just, you know, I'll just, you know, be thankful for what I have, type of thing.
Oh yeah. Oh, so the last thing, because we're at about like 35 minutes. The thing I was going to say before, because I lost track of where I was trying to go with that, but was that guy that would talk with those girls in those interviews on his podcast. What they were talking about was there was a girl who was like, she was trying to say, oh well, you know, I should be able to go to bars and clubs all the time, you know, even if I'm married and blah, blah. And so the guy's like sitting there like, okay, so you're saying that you think it's okay that you go do X, Y, and Z, and you're having these expectations of a guy. And then you think it's inappropriate when a guy has expectations and says, well, I don't want that in a wife. And it's like, oh, well, man's not going to control me, blah, blah. It's like, it doesn't matter if you're going to do that type of stuff, then most quality men are going to tell you to go fuck off, because they don't want someone who's going to be doing that kind of shit.
Yeah.
Just simple as, you know, if you're the type of, if that's your thing and maybe that's a thing that the guy likes to do or whatever, then okay, you both go do it together. But most instances that's not the case. And if a guy's in a serious relationship with a girl, he's not going to want her to go to fucking clubs and bars and shit.
Yeah.
So it was kind of funny, because it's like the girl wants that, well, I should be able to do X, Y, and Z and get all this stuff and blah, blah. Like, you know, oh, like the guy's got to make 100,000 a year. Okay. And how much do you have to make a year? Oh, you don't have to do anything? Well, because
no, she's hot. That's what her contribution is.
She has a vagina. That's true. Like every other female on the planet. Not special. Just like when people have kids, it's like not special. Everyone can have you know, okay. There are instances otherwise. But, you know, for the most part, it's like, okay, congratulations. You did the same thing that fucking 10 billion people before you did. Anyway, random rant. So I think that's a good point to end on. We went like 10 minutes over what we were trying to do, but all right, we'll keep it under 40 minutes. Not too bad, not too bad.
This is exactly how our conversations go in real life, by the way, is we're like, oh yeah, let's just have a quick conversation about this, like talk about our day and have a quick check-in, and then it's like 4 hours later.
It's hard to keep it under a certain amount of time. 40 minutes. We're still keeping it shorter than it could be.
This is like, but yeah, I would say our normal conversations are between like 2 and 4 hours.
Yeah.
On like a regular basis.
Yeah.
So this was the 40 minutes went really quick.
Yeah.
Seems like it was like a 10-minute conversation.
It was literally like almost 8-9 minutes ago when I was trying to like wave her down, like, all right, we're getting close on time. And she didn't even notice. I was like, I was doing this.
Oh, I didn't notice.
No, we want to try to keep it a little bit shorter. So, you know, try to keep them under an hour, keep them under 30 if we can. But
yeah.
So anyway, this was episode 15. Talked a little bit about trust and honesty. we are going to try to do another podcast on love languages. So that should be our next one. Try to make this a little bit like a, Valentine's.
It's February. It's the month of love.
Day, week, month. Yeah, the love month.
Love and Ally month.
It is Ally month. Yes, tomorrow is your big day. So, yeah.
I'm not excited for this one.
She's a boomer. She is officially over the hill boomer.
22.
Yeah, she's turning 22.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you guys for joining. Appreciate it. If you liked the video, please give us a like, hit the bell, subscribe for more on this, and we'll tweet out any updates that we have. But we're going to try to get more episodes out. I know we've been slacking a little bit. It's been a lot of shit going on.
And I got sick.
Yeah, she's gotten sick like 4 times in the last fucking year. 4 times in the last like 8 months.
No, I've been getting sick once a month since December, and then I got COVID in August. So 4th time since August.
Yeah, 4th time in 6 months. But
nanny life.
But
getting coughed right in the face all day.
All day.
All day.
All
right, guys.
Thanks a lot. Take care.